How you feeling today, Al?
I have a guy with an ice pick who's at the house right now, and he's just chipping away. You know, Dan, I'll tell you one thing. You don't know fear until you wake up in a Minneapolis hotel room and you open up the blinds, as I did yesterday morning, and there's a time and temperature sign on top of about a 25-story building across the street, and it says 7:02 a.m. minus 21 F. And I had some room service, and as the guy brought the breakfast to the room, he said to me, "Where is global warming when we need it?"
Has weather ever affected, physically affected you as a broadcaster in a football game?
It has, not to this degree, and it didn't yesterday either, but we figured out a way. I mean, we were, layered up and had some heaters in the booth, obviously, and we were able to close part of the booth off to the elements. The whole thing is wind. I mean, the only time I must say that it did affect me, maybe last year we were in Kansas City, and it's probably 20 degrees, but the wind is, whipping around and blowing in there. And don't forget, I did 3 years at the San Francisco Giants at Candlestick Park. So I would say the elements got to me in July, because in July, you don't expect it to be 52 degrees and the wind is blowing like crazy and hot dog wrappers are smacking you in the face in the middle of the game. So if you can survive Candlestick in July, you can survive anything.
How important is it as the broadcaster to allow us to feel these conditions? Like it's your job with words and the pictures to make us feel even as close to what the players like. I guess, is that fair to say that you want us to have that feel of, are you cold even sitting in your own living room?
Yes. I think what you want is for the fans to say, in effect, subconsciously, it's really nice to be here by the fireplace and look at that, especially in a snowstorm. Our old boss, Dick Ebersol, was always praying for, 37 inches of snow. And the one time he got it in Philadelphia about 4 or 5 years ago, they postponed the game until Tuesday night. So Dick was very upset about that. I think what you want to have happen, and look, our crew as well as anybody with Fred Godelli producing, and, Drew Esikoff is as great a director as I've ever worked with, and maybe the best who's ever done sports. And I think some of those pictures yesterday were just phenomenal. So we don't have to say, boy, it's really cold. I mean, the fans at home, it's very much, it's the difference between radio and television. And, I know it's fun to listen to how the Seattle guys called it on radio and how the Minnesota guys called it on radio. I mean, they're doing radio. And for me, I'm doing television, so I'm in and I'm out. Let the pictures show the emotion of the missed field goal. You can't have a better visual than what Drew Esikoff was able to pop up with, and which one of our cameramen got that shot of the steam coming out of the heads of maybe 100 people. I mean, that looked like a scene from Jupiter. I mean, that was crazy. That was wonderful. But that's what makes it so great. That's the thing I love the most about this. I mean, if Spielberg wanted to get that shot in a movie, Dan, it would take him 20 takes. Esikoff did it in one take. That's why I think the guys who do sports television, the directors on sports TV, the top of the line guys, are as good as anybody doing movies these days.
When Blair Walsh lines up, what do you think as far as pre, during, and after? Is there strategy involved in the whole scenario there?
Very much so. As they're marching down the field, you have the Rudolph play where he goes down the sideline and really puts them into field goal range. And at that point, I'm starting to say, okay, here's the situation. They're already in field goal range. And I can't remember exactly how many timeouts Seattle had, 1 or 2, but I think I said at one point, when he kicks the field goal, Seattle's going to get the ball back with about a half a minute to go. As it turned out, maybe they would have gotten it back with 22 or 23 seconds. So I am setting it up as if he's going to make it, because everybody thinks he's going to make it. It's an easy chip shot field goal. So I'm as stunned as anybody when he doesn't. But clearly that was the strategy that I was talking about. Will Seattle have any time at all? I was ready to set up, what does Minnesota do on the ensuing kickoff? Do they send it all the way down to the goal line and let Tyler Lockett, who had a tremendous year and is capable of running it back all the way, do they let him have the ball? Is it a bouncing ball? What are they going to do? So to me, it's a foregone conclusion, as it was, I'm sure, to almost everybody watching the game, that Blair Walsh, one of the best kickers in football, is going to make this. So I'm like ahead of where I need to be in the game, because it's going to be a foregone conclusion that Minnesota is going to take the lead. And, this is. I know if you're a Minnesota Vikings fan, you're morose and distraught and all of that, but this is why we love sports. You think you know, but you don't know.
He's Al Michaels, NBC Sports. Arizona against Green Bay coming up on, is that Saturday night, right?
Saturday, yes,
sir. Let me ask you.
You better know that, because aren't you in the studio?
Yeah, that's right. Nice
and toasty?
Yes, I am. It's 71 degrees. It's
okay.
71 degrees. The end of the Steelers-Bengals game.
Right.
How do Joey Porter's on the field? Like, this is a mess, but
right.
How does it get to that point where you have this situation where somehow the Steelers win this game with a 35-yard field goal?
Well, look, there are a lot of things. It was a very good interview with Pac-Man Jones, by the way. Very interesting to hear it from his perspective as to what took place. And I know everybody's talking about, number one, the perfect hit. And I saw Dion on the NFL Network post-game the other night, and, Dion was saying that wasn't a flag, so you've got the penalty for that. You have, obviously, the Pac-Man Jones penalty, reaching or contacting the official is what I heard Pac-Man tell you a few minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
How does it get to that point? I'm not sure how it does. The funny thing is, you had the Josh Norman, Odell Beckham thing. Terry McAuley was the referee. He's one of the best. John Parry was the referee the other night. He's one of the best. But these games have gotten out of control from time to time within the game. And I think it's a very hard thing. Do you throw guys out of the game? This is something that the league will definitely address to a very large extent in the offseason. Now, as far as I'm concerned, though, if you're a coach, and again, I know Marvin Lewis is taking a lot of heat. Some people think he's lost control of the team. People are saying this would never happen with, Bill Parcells or, going back to Lombardi or Landry, whatever. That's not to say it wouldn't happen with them. Of course it could. Players change, times change. You can't control everybody. Yet I would just think, though, at one point, you'd grab the players and go, you got to understand the whole situation here. When you're on defense in that scenario, and Pittsburgh's marching down the field trying to win the game, hey, guys, you've got to understand we can't put ourselves in position for a personal foul. We just can't. And I know it's violent, and it's easy for me to say, and I'm not Vontaze Burfict trying to break up a pass that's going to Antonio Brown. I get it. But I think one of the things, and Chris and I were talking about this before the game yesterday in the booth, just amongst ourselves, understand what the situation is. Mm-hmm. The last time you can ever take a personal foul is in this scenario. So that's the only thing that I would say. I would look at as a coach. I know Marvin Lewis has probably addressed these things, and then the players lose their heads.
Yeah, it still goes back to I understand Burfict. I understand Pac-Man Jones, that they're caught up in a game, but
right.
to allow a coach on the field to engage with players during a game is inexcusable.
That's right. I agree with you, and I'm sure that Joey Porter will be hearing from the league. There's no doubt about that. I mean, the only people who should be allowed out on the field at that point are the head coach and the training staff.
And he didn't go out to.
No doubt.
He wasn't checking on Antonio Brown.
Probably. Well, that's Joe. Remember, Joey is a player.
He got thrown from a game before a game.
Oh yeah, Joey could get under your skin. There's no question about that. Oh, he's really good at that, and I'm sure there's a part of him, even though his wallet will probably be lighter next week or whenever they come down with whatever fine they will. But he's laughing all the way to Denver.
Before I let you go, I mentioned that I can tell by the number of smiles that Aaron Rodgers has during a game how well Aaron Rodgers is playing. And I haven't seen him smile in 7 weeks. He was smiling a whole lot yesterday. What was different yesterday than the last 7 weeks, Al?
Well, I think Devontae Adams helped to put a bigger smile on his face. A better running game helped to put a bigger smile on his face. I think Aaron loves the fact when people doubt him and doubt his team, it's almost like, hey, take that. You like that? So he took the Kirk Cousins mantra right out of Kirk's mouth in a way. don't forget Aaron. Every time, and we've met with him 100 times, and there's always a period of time when the team's not playing well, and he's very good at summing things up like RELAX, which he did a couple of years ago. We did a game in Houston a few years ago where he came in and he said the sky is falling, but inside we're just fine, and they went on to beat the Texans by about 30 points. He's very in control of his emotions and where he is. So yesterday, they fall behind 11-0. They give up the lead again, but I think Aaron knows in his heart, they begin to pull away. He knows, hey, we showed them. We lost to Minnesota last week, but we're on our way to Arizona. We're in the final 8. He gets it.
Great to talk to you,
Dan. Pretty soon we'll be in where, Dan? We're South America.
Oh yeah, we'll be in Rio.
You all set?
I have my Speedo and I have my sunblock. Yes, I do.
And the restaurants are much better than La Strada in London. That's what I hear.
Are we going to go to the same restaurant every single night in Rio?
No, we are not.
We're going to spread the wealth? All right.
I've checked out cigars. We've got about 37 different places we can head.
Great.
We'll start with Denny's.
Thank you, Al.
Be good, Dan. Take care.
That's Al Michaels, NBC Sports.